Look, we just condemned the Canaanites in part for they were killing children. That's exactly what God ordered the Israelites to do when they came into their nation. And we say, okay, these people were sinful, idolatrous, and they should have repented. Well, the same is true of the Israelites. They were sinful, they were idolatrous, and yet they had the benefit of having the prophet of God come to them with literal stone tablets telling them what to do. And even then it took them a few tries to get right. The Canaanites didn't have that. And yet when the Israelites are sinful, they get a prophet who comes and sets them straight. When the Canaanites are sinful, they get obliterated, they get exterminated, they get chased out.
Just the same way the Israelites were at first the hands of the Assyrians and then the Babylonians. The Old Testament insists that was part of God's judgment on the Israelites for them doing the child sacrifice, temple prostitution, idolatry. Often it gets back to, does God have the right to judge? Yes, he judged the Canaanites, but then remember, a few hundred years later, he judged the Jews, first at the hands of the Assyrians and then the Babylonians.
So this is a really good take from Pastor Cliff on a very challenging question, very hard to answer in 60 seconds. He could have went down the route of the Nephilim and how the people, the Canaanites at that time, weren't actually purely human. That's what some theologians say. And then you could have gone down the route of God's covenant with Israel and how they were his special chosen people. But here's what I think at the end of the day, when we wrestle with these questions, we need to remember that God is holy. God is just. We oftentimes just say he's loving and he's merciful and he's kind. Yes, that's true, but God's not the one on trial here. We are. We're the ones who are sinful. We are the ones who are rebellious. And so who are we to judge his ways and how he wants things to play out? At the end of the day, that just is greater evidence of our own arrogance and our need for our own forgiveness for our own sin. So many different routes we could go down, but ultimately, I thought Pastor Cliff handled this well. What would you add? Let me know in the comments and click follow for more.